Each of us has our own unique background and story of how we became a part of Chiefs Kingdom.
Our reach is far and wide with fans all over the world cheering on our Kansas City Chiefs.
Everyone donning the red and gold has figuratively signed that mutual agreement and come together for one common purpose.
For 76,000 of us at a time to descend upon Arrowhead, man our stations, let out our loudest battle cry to the tune of 142.2 decibels, and make that stadium rock until our opponents beg for mercy.
We are unrelenting in our pride for this city, these players, and this team. This is the show for the Allies, Arrowhead Allies.
And just as the Kansas City Chiefs had to play Super Bowl 55 with a depleted offensive line, the Allies are going live today with a bit of a depleted roster. Not every ally is here. Our motto is no ally left behind, but we are without our good friend Brian B. Shinen and Shaggy Shane Williams, also not in here today. But we have our good friend from Hollywood, California, the Money Badger, Michael Matthew. Michael, we got a trio here, like the Holy Triumvirate, Rush or Blink-182. We're going to try to make this work, my friend.
Hey, I was going to say, I thought we were Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Isaiah Pacheco, and Jerick McKinnon.
As long as I'm not Clyde, we're good.
I don't want to be a running back. I need to be Kadarius Toney out here. So.
Hey, that's a great name right there, man. That guy is special. But I know we're going to talk about it. So
we are going to talk a lot about Kadarius Toney. We got our winter weather starting here. Michael, we had some snow yesterday. It's like 30 degrees right now. It is officially winter in Kansas City. I just want to get your thoughts on that as someone that doesn't experience all the four seasons.
Yeah, no, it's cold out here. Like I told you guys Sunday, 60 degrees, we cannot handle it. I think I'm getting a little cold from it. I've dealt with the snow before, and it is something else. I don't think I can deal with it as many days as you guys do. That's why I'm here in Southern California, where I don't have to. If I want the snow, I drive up to Big Bear for 2 hours, stay for a couple of days. I get far away from there.
Big Bear's a bucket list place for me. I got to visit there sometime. I've always wanted to check that out.
Oh, it's beautiful, man. You got to come and check it out. Hit the slopes. It's really fun.
Yeah, we got a question here right off the top from Kenneth Cadwell here. What do you think about the NFL ruling on the hit on Juju? Was it a legal hit? Absolutely not. He came across helmet to helmet. You saw what happened to Juju. You hate seeing that, the stiffness of the body, concussed. It was good to hear Patrick Mahomes say in the locker room after the game, Juju was back to his kind of normal, joking self. Didn't seem like he had any repercussions from it. So we'll have to see how he progresses through the week. I would think he would be sitting out the Chargers game, but we hope the best and that he just heals up perfectly.
Yeah, I think, the way that us Californians think snow is terrible here in Southern Cal, that was a terrible call. I couldn't believe they picked that flag up. I'm just like, the rule book, just look at it. That looks like a tackle that is not supposed to happen, that they're, working to take out of the game. So, it was so bad to see Juju that way. I'm happy that, he was feeling better after the game, like you said, Noah. But, hopefully, I'm pretty sure he's not going to play this week, especially after the Tua thing that happened earlier this year. I don't expect him to play. But, as long as we can get him back and he's ready to go, because he's clearly, our best receiver out there.
Yeah, he made a post on Instagram that said, all's well, be back soon. Good to see that, even if, obviously still in concussion protocol, and there's a lot that goes into that. So, as Andy Reid said, if this is a shoulder-to-shoulder contact, how does a man wind up unconscious out there? The last I knew about the medical books that I have researched diligently, you aren't knocked out, physically unconscious by a hit to your shoulder. So there was definitely something that's missed there. And it's been all year. We've just seen very weird things, weird roughing the passers, ambiguous interpretations of rules. And the truth of it is, I'm getting sick of it. We saw some more craziness and shenanigans in the Eagles Commanders game last night. And that's just kind of where we are. And hopefully this gets better, is cleaned up as the year goes on.
Some of that stuff, I don't understand how they don't have someone in New York that's watching it to tell them, hey, I'm looking at the play over and over again. It is a flag, just like you said, the Eagles game, clearly a face mask. Like, you have to make that call. but you don't. And it's crazy because you go and look at the replay to see the fumble, but you can't do anything about the clear face mask. So it doesn't make any sense, but hopefully the NFL can fix this, because to see what happened to Juju, for it to be no repercussion there was like really like distasteful, to be honest.
Yeah, it's not shoulder to shoulder when he's out before he hits the ground. You can't say, oh, it was shoulder to shoulder and then he hit the ground and then his head hit the ground. Like, no, he was out as soon as the helmet to helmet contact was there, and you just can't do that. And we've got this here. Do you think the Chiefs will be the #1 spot after the Eagles lose?
I don't really.
The Eagles lose to the Commanders. I'm guessing this is power rankings. We're guessing, and some power rankings I've seen. Pro Football Talk, they had the Vikings as #1, the Chiefs at #2. A lot of other people have the Chiefs at #1. We're here 10 weeks into the season. Chiefs have played 9 games. They're 7-2. I think they've got to be the 1 seed with their strength of schedule, who they played. I think you got to put them at 9.
And Michael, the more NFC teams that are in the top 5 of the power rankings, that's great news to me. They can load it up with NFC teams. If they want to have the Cowboys, throw them in there too. That's great. Let's do it, because the Chiefs have a great chance. And I'd put them up right now against anyone in the league the way they're playing. So Bills dropped 2 straight. Chiefs obviously are the #1 seed in the AFC as of right now. And that begs the question, Michael, I hate to break it down this way, but with the Chiefs having a game advantage, they're going to need to keep that advantage for the 1 seed. How many more do you feel like the Chiefs can afford to lose to keep that 1 seed?
I think I would say maybe a game or 2.
That's what I agree.
I would say a game or 2, because just looking at Buffalo, I see they have to face the Jets again. They have Miami once again. They have a matchup with the Bengals as well. So something just looks off with them. I know they're dealing with a lot of health issues over there. So I think that they might take a couple L's, but it's a team like the Ravens that you have to look out for, who kind of has like a cupcake schedule that can go on a run here, that, because the Chiefs' 2 losses are in the AFC. I figure that they may lose a game, maybe one more game before the season is up. So it's the Ravens that I'm watching out for as far as home field advantage. But hey, the Chiefs are clearly a better road team. I don't think we want home field after the Titans game and the performance versus the Jags. We dominate teams on the road, but we get by teams at home. So maybe we'd rather be on the road this year.
Yeah, that's a very safe point here. Warren Jackson comes in. Do you think Cisco should be fined for the way he did those hits against Juju and MVS? I say yes, because he had no sympathy after the hit he did. I think they should come back. They look at that. It was helmet to helmet, and they should fine Andrew Cisco, the Jag safety, number 5, for that hit, definitely. And then we've got this. Do you feel that CBS had bad timing or was in bad taste playing the Juju sleep number bed commercial at halftime? I think those are predetermined. That was just in the slot to be played as a commercial during that. Sleep number has to get their commercial in. They paid for the time on the air for CBS. And so that it wasn't in bad taste or bad timing. It's just that was the ad that Juju's went out for, and that's
Cisco for sure. Cisco for sure should be fined. If not for both hits, at least for one of them. Because it's the type of hits they're trying to take out of the game, and he did it twice. So I think that he should be fined, maybe like $7,500 or $11,500, but he should be fined because it's just something that you have to take out of the game. Just them picking up that flag, like, you guys don't understand. I almost snapped. I'm like, are you serious?
Yeah.
How do you throw it, get together, and then pick it up? That doesn't make any sense.
The guy is laid out clearly from contact to the head, so it didn't make any sense at all.
Yeah, we're seeing some real inconsistencies here. We saw a similar situation with Justin Herbert on Sunday Night Football that was penalized, and an ejection actually occurred in that situation. So I just feel like there's so much inconsistency, and we could probably copy and paste this about officiating year in and year out. It's a hard game to officiate. It's not like baseball, just balls and strikes. And is he out at first, man? We got 300 pound we got 300-pound beasts banging into each other, holding, clipping, grabbing face masks. It is not a game for the weak of heart. Michael, I got to go to you with this. You're out in LA. You've got a good pulse on this.
Yes.
The Chargers coming off of a loss. They dropped to 5-4 after losing to San Francisco. The Chargers have been a weird team to me all year since coming close to beating the Chiefs there in week 2. We've seen the Chargers play close to the vest, down to their competition, even losing some games against teams that they probably shouldn't be losing to. And now here they are at 5-4. The Chiefs can all but put this division on ice with a win Sunday night. So what kind of Chargers team are we expecting? What are fans, if there is such a thing, people around LA that are Chargers fans, if that exists, talking about this Chargers team and just where they're at right now, and they're maybe desperate coming into this? What's the mindset for the Chargers right now?
Man, a lot of Chargers fans here are just their hope. How they felt at the beginning of the season was that, hey, we have a chance. We should be the team there to win this division. With all of the injuries, they know that it's going to be tough. They just hoping to get a big victory Sunday night to prove that that they're still going to be able to compete here down the stretch. It looks like Keenan Allen and Mike Williams is going to be back. What about the luck for the Chiefs? Every time we play a team, they get their guys back. So it's crazy, but it looks like those two guys are going to be back. They've been practicing this week, so they're really going to try to give it a shot this week. Their hopes of winning a division is not the same, but they're kind of more in tune of let's just get into the playoffs because we were so close last year. Let's get in and see what we can do. But they know it's a tall task going against Kansas City this week.
Yeah, Michael, the pregame show before the Jaguars game, you talked to us, and you and Brian Bishan both said we were going to miss McCole Hardman. I don't think we did. Kadarius Toney is that guy. He is him, as the kids are saying. So what do we make of this Kadarius Toney thing, and did we miss McCole Hardman?
I think that you still miss McCole because imagine what Toney did if you have two guys similar that can, scare the defense in that way. But I think that they're different. I think that McCole is a more explosive straight line runner, and that Kadarius is more of a east-west guy that, it's tough to tackle. So I think that, man, it's going to have teams really I can imagine them in a panic room just throwing papers everywhere. Like, what is going on? How do they get another weapon? And that's what they have with Toney. I think McCole is going to be the punt return guy for the rest of the season. So I think that he can make some explosive plays there that the Chiefs haven't had this season.
Well, McCole is still not sure about his availability for this Sunday, guys. So you could be in a situation where you're going to Los Angeles, you're going to SoFi Stadium where it's $42 for 2 beers, by the way. And you could be in a deal where your two of your starting receivers are out. They could be getting theirs back. You could be having Keenan Allen, Mike Williams back, and the Chiefs could be without McCole and Juju. You want to have, your be at full strength here. But with the Chiefs, one thing to look at is Patrick Mahomes threw 4 touchdowns last week to 4 different targets. MVS really coming on. He's has almost 500 yards receiving for the season, which is kind of happened a bit in the bubble. It seems like he's not contributing as much. Noah Gray has a touchdown catch. We thought Kadarius Toney get the first one of his career. Travis Kelce, old reliable. Do you have any qualms about going to SoFi with some weapons beat up here, missing 2 receivers? That means more Justin Watson. I don't know how we feel about that. What do we the overall thought on our weapons heading into SoFi?
Man, as long as Andy Reid is head coaching and number 15 is throwing, I think that the Chiefs have a chance to beat anyone. And you still have Kelce out there, who I don't understand how he gets this open. I remember a play, I believe in the second quarter, play action pass to him. I'm like, how is the best tight end possibly ever this wide open? But you have that guy, you have Toney, you have Watson, you have MVS, and then the running game. We saw that I'm so happy that they decided to say, you know what, we're going to stick to these 2 backs, and we want these guys to have as much rhythm as they need to be impactful. And Isaiah Pacheco ran for 16 carries for 82 yards, and then McKinney, who led the team with targets. I think the Chiefs are going to be okay. It looks like the O-line looked a little better last week. We haven't really talked too much about Orlando Brown, so that can be a good thing. And I'm not sure if Wiley is going to play this week. I don't know what the word is out there, but I was happy to see Prince out there, doing his thing. You didn't really hear his name. So I think the Chiefs are going to be all right because they're the best coach offense with the best player throwing the ball, with one of the best weapons in Travis Kelce, that no matter who they have out there, it's going to be tough, especially for the Chargers, who lost another defensive tackle to where I think we're going to see a lot of Pacheco up the middle. And if he can have a big
a terrible run defense. You're right.
Yeah. It's going to be crazy. So this might be one of those Pacheco, Kareem Hunt rookie year games where he runs for 110, 120, and we're like, oh, look out, NFL. So I'm so excited for Sunday night, man. It's going to be so much fun.
As long as Pacheco doesn't fumble again, I think we'll be okay. That was a killer there as we're in the red zone driving, getting some points. And then he fumbles the ball away, but he did have a good game rushing the ball. You mentioned the 82 yards. I want to talk about this secondary, this young secondary for Kansas City going up against possibly Mike Williams and Keenan Allen coming back. You know, they got Jared Everett at tight end. Austin Eckler out of the backfield can create some issues. So what do we make of this young secondary? Josh Williams, Jalen Watson, is he going to be ready, full go? We saw he fell down, hit his head there, and went off for a little while, came back. So what do we make of this young secondary? Trent McDuffie's looking like he could be your number one corner leading up to this thing. We saw L'Jarius Sneed give up 2 touchdowns to Christian Kirk. What do we make of this secondary going up against Mike Williams and Keenan Allen?
I like it. I think because the pass rush has played so well.
And Clark comes back.
Yeah. So shout out to those guys who are getting after the quarterback, making it so tough that it's going to be much easier. You know, you hated to see L'Jarius get cooked the way he did, but, you know, Christian Kirk is a baller.
Yeah,
and
he is.
Trevor Lawrence is going to find him. So it was just some tough matchups, but you had McDuffie. Like I said, when the Chiefs drafted him, he reminds me so much of Jair Alexander. He gives you a guy that's just so sticky in coverage. And then you have the length of Williams and Watson. That I think the Chiefs secondary is going to be all right as long as they continue to get the pass rush going. And we got our guy Leo. Welcome to the NFL, Leo. He got his first sack after having 9 last year in college. So as long as we're getting after the quarterback, I think it's going to be much better. And now we have a guy like McDuffie who we can say, hey, we need you to guard this speedster and pretty much lock down the side of the field. So you have that with the pass rush, with, you know, L'Jarius and with Bolton there at the second level. Man, it becomes that much tougher for everyone in the NFL.
Noah, here's a point I'm going to throw to you on this because one thing that's kind of baffling when you look at the stats for the Chiefs on defense here is -4 in turnover differential. That is 26th in the league. That means that the Chiefs are not getting turnovers. They were -3 in the game here on Sunday and still won by 10, won comfortably, had a 20-0 lead. But there's something, what do you attribute this to? Is it, non-fortuitous bounces? Is it this young secondary, whereas they're playing well and kind of baptism under fire, not really in position to get a pick? You know, we saw Jalen Watson get the big one against the Chargers in the first game, but this defense is not creating turnovers. Worrisome.
Yeah, I mean, for most of the season, they've been getting gashed in the run game. And then in the pass game back there, they're not getting their head around. They're sticking to guys, they're close to them, but they're just throwing their hands up and their head isn't turned around. So they're not even giving themselves a chance to make a play on the ball. And so that's why we're seeing the -4 in turnovers. I was hoping to see a little bit more of that. Maybe Willie Gay or Nick Bolton could strip the ball a little more from some of these running backs that are getting through the first wave of the defensive line, and then they're being held up and we can strip the ball away. We haven't seen that either. So our defense isn't bad. They're playing fine, and the secondary's doing all right, although I think L'Jarius Sneed and Jalen Watson and Josh Williams are giving up a high percentage, around 60-70% completion percentage when thrown against. Trent McDuffie's like 25%. He hasn't played much, but he is still only giving up 25%, whether you've played a lot or not. So I do worry a little bit about Trent McDuffie with the taller receivers. The Chargers have lots of tall guys, whether it's at tight end, receiver, all the way down their depth, not just Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. Jared Guyton, if he plays, I'm not sure his availability, but that's kind of where I worry about Trent McDuffie in this game. Guys just mossing him, going up over the top because he is a smaller corner.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see that this week as well. But I think that he can still, sometimes he's just in such great coverage that it's going to take a perfect throw and an amazing catch. And you would take that. We saw that with Marvin Jones, who had to make that spectacular catch from a perfect pass from Trevor Lawrence.
He dove for it.
Yeah.
He said that wasn't allowed. McCole said that we're not allowed to dive for balls.
That's just McCole. He doesn't dive for footballs, but the rest of the league does. But yeah, man, I just don't think the Chiefs secondary have true playmakers to go and get the ball. They have guys that can get stops, but we don't have any playmakers. I think that's what we missed from the Honey Badger. Was that he was that playmaker that would be back there, and you had to really watch where you threw the football. And I think it made other guys have a head on the swivel, like, man, we need to go get this ball, But now, other than maybe L'Jarius is a guy that I think that will find the ball.
Fumble blitz off the edge, yeah.
something. So I think most of our turnovers are going to have to come from the pass rush or just a good hit. But as far as interceptions, I just think we have a lot of sticky corners, but not too many playmaking corners in the back end.
Yeah, and I want to go to this. We all know what Tyreek Hill's doing. He may set a record for most receiving yards in a season, beating Calvin Johnson. Tyreek is just on a tear right now. But not so fast. Look at Patrick Mahomes, my friends, on pace for 47 touchdowns, not a record, but yardage-wise, he's on pace for 5,546 yards. That would be an NFL record, breaking Peyton Manning's record of 5,477 yards. There is an extra game. We're 17, not 16, but still, we could be on pace. Mahomes and Tyreek split apart, and they're setting records for yardage. It's crazy.
Yeah, it just shows you how talented both guys are. Like generational players that the Chiefs draft. That's what the Chiefs do, since 2015, I guess, that we draft these generational talents there. And, Tyreek is special and what he's doing over there. And him and Jalen Waddle is the perfect duo together as far as receivers. And then, Mahomes doing his thing. But for Mahomes, it's always tough because usually he doesn't play the final game of the year because the Chiefs are already clinched home field advantage. So I think we might see that again. Like if the Chiefs win out or Buffalo takes some losses and the Ravens and the Chiefs don't need to play, then he's not going to get that opportunity, which I would love better than anything because, one less game means a less chance to be injured. So, it's exciting, man, just to see if he can do it.
Yeah, I love this comment down here from Chris Kim. Our defense is playing good enough not to cost us a game. That's all we can ask for with this and with PM15. Are there concerns? Yes, but it's better than what I expected during the preseason. Very true. We had a lot of young guys coming in, a lot of question marks. Is Frank Clark really going to be back and provide anything? And he has. Maybe not back to his former self with Seattle in his first year here in Kansas City, but still he's giving us something a lot more than the past couple of years. And like I mentioned, the young secondary, George Karlaftis, Leo Chenal, counting on a lot of young guys. And what they did against the Titans, they held them down the second half, held the Jags. So we have gotten more out of them than expected.
Yeah, guys, and think back to 2019, which is the last time that the Chiefs rehauled their entire defense. That's when you brought in Tyrann Mathieu. That's when you signed Frank Clark to the egregious $100 million contract. That defense took 3/4 of a season to come around. We were sitting there at 6-4 after losing to the Tennessee Titans and giving up just,
it was week 11.
Absolutely, an egregious amount of yards and points, lost that game, fell to 6-4. It was not till after that the defense really started to turn around. We talked about it in the offseason. Is this going to be a similar deal? You've got Justin Reed coming in here. What's he going to bring? These young corners, it's been a question mark. We've talked about it every week on this show. And for the results that you're getting, I have to give this offense a B+ or an A- almost. Because like the Chris just said, it's not costing us games. The offense is going out doing its thing. I mean, it's a pleasant surprise beyond a pleasant surprise. Credit to Steve Spagnuolo for what he's been able to do here with this D.
Yeah, and that's what's so crazy about this team. If you remember, our talks early on in the season was that the Chiefs may start slow and then they're going to pick it up down the stretch. Now with the Chiefs actually coming out and, winning a bunch of games that, we thought they would struggle with, this team is only going to get better. Even offensively, Mahomes is getting the groove. They're barely trying to figure out what to do with running backs in their winning games. So with the defense, they're young and they're only going to grow. So I can only imagine what you're going to see when it comes playoff times where these guys have had enough. Pretty much their rookie seasons are done. Now they're like second-year players because they have played so much for the Kansas City Chiefs, who now have the most primetime games. It's like these guys are really prepared to step up and make plays. And that's what makes the Chiefs so scary down the stretches, because the Bills, we saw what they did last year. They pretty much the same other than Von Miller, who they added, who is doing their thing, but they still can't run the ball. But with the Chiefs, they're continuing to get better on the defensive end. So it's something to, that all teams I know are looking out for.
Any chance that Chiefs-Broncos Sunday night game gets flexed if the Broncos keep losing? I know you don't want to get rid of the Chiefs. You got the Chiefs on Sunday night. But I haven't looked at the rest of the week and the other games going on, if there would be something that would be flexed into that Sunday night to get the Broncos out of prime time, not really getting the Chiefs out, but the Broncos out.
Yeah.
Whereas I think they're going to want to keep the Chiefs there no matter what. But it's something to think about, something to look at, that if there's a big matchup that week, that maybe they wouldn't want the Broncos there.
Yeah, you got to get the Broncos all the way off. They've just been terrible in prime time. I hate to say this, but we'd rather see Russell Wilson's wife than him. In prime time. So I'm looking at the schedule here. I think that you might see the Dolphins Chargers flex.
Mm.
In LA,
one, yeah.
they have a morning game here in LA to see Tyreek, in that stadium again where he always goes crazy. I think that's a matchup that we may see flex because nobody wants to see the Broncos. I don't even think John Elway is probably like, take us off of prime time. This is embarrassing.
Especially with those navy blue pants. I hate their uniforms have been terrible since 1997. It's not getting any better. Everything about Denver is drab, boring. They've been an afterthought since 2015, a Super Bowl, making them one of the most inexplicable Super Bowl champions in recent memory. 2015 Denver, if you remember, the Chargers are beating the Broncos week 17. Peyton Manning comes off the bench. They start handing the ball off. They get the 1 seed away from the Chiefs, and they go to the Super Bowl. The Chiefs have just beaten the Broncos badly on the road. The Broncos have been irrelevant since then. The Chiefs haven't lost to them since September of 15, guys. And we'll get to that when it comes. But this Sunday night is Chiefs-Chargers. Michael, the Chiefs have not lost to this organization on the road since December of 2013, my man.
Yep.
I have not lost to them in the city of Los Angeles. I've not lost to them at SoFi. So coming into this, how do you see this game going? Because like I kind of alluded to it earlier, we thought this was going to be a battle for first place in the division. Now it's a desperate Chargers team and a Chiefs team that looks like it's about to run away with everything in the AFC.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really good game because the Chargers are going to be playing for a lot. They know that if they take an L here, it pushes them further back when it comes to a wild card spot. And if you look at that AFC, it's a lot of good teams that are fighting for, a spot in the playoffs as of right now. As we know, the Chargers wouldn't be in, but you have the Bengals there. You have the Patriots, Buffalo, the Jets that are there. Maybe the Colts, Matt Ryan. He has found his legs of his 20s, and he's out there to try to, give them a chance to be in the playoffs. So you're going to see a desperate Charger teams. You're going to see them going for it on fourth down, maybe some trick plays here or there that I think is going to be a very close game. But shout out to Chiefs LA, man. They show up in droves there at SoFi, and we take over the stadium. When I was there last year at the great overtime win for the Chiefs, it was like 60-40 Chiefs fans. So when you have to, call timeouts and stuff and you're at home because of the crowd, it makes it that much tougher. But I think it's going to be a hard-fought game. And the Chiefs know that. That's why, they're going to be ready to go. Not having Juju is going to be something to look out for. But I think it's going to be a really close game, but the Chiefs take it at the end.
Yeah, we're still seeing problems with Harrison Butker and kicking. Whether it's an extra point, his field goals, he's just pushing it right. There's something not right there. We talked about it. He said that his ankle's still bothering him. Just this thing can't keep lingering on, or the Chiefs are going to have to do something. They just can't let this keep happening. I don't think we're in panic mode yet, but we're in slightly concerned, keeping an eye on it, gearing towards panic.
I don't want to hear excuses either. I mean, he sat there and gave a 30-second reason as to why this is happening and shortening his distance to run up and kick the ball. And I don't want to hear it. This guy's the most overpaid player in the league right now. The Chiefs gave him a big contract extension. They did, guys, and we love him because he's the butt kicker. He's our guy. He can kick from 58, 62 yards. But this is a real problem. In the NFL, you want to talk about Jerry Glanville, not for long. The kicking games where it's not for long, and Harrison Butker is playing himself out of Kansas City right now with these huge, costly errors.
Yeah, I don't get why the Chiefs don't just have Justin Reed do kickoffs, just so that can kind of save some of that wear and tear.
Because you're right. You don't need any strategy to it. Kick it out of the end zone or
inbounds.
Yeah, he's kicking them short. So just Justin Reed go out there and destroy the ball, kick it out of bounds. So Harrison can get all the practice kicks and get his mind right, because right now it's okay. We're getting wins. We're feeling good about it. But when it gets to the playoff times, if we lose a game, imagine if we drive down in the 13 seconds to get a field goal and Harrison misses it, you're going to get some pissed off Chiefs fans all over the world. So we just have no time for that. So he's going to have to really figure it out. Dave Tobe is going to have to be in his ear and get all of the special teams together so that we can get that advantage back, because it helps us to know, okay, we don't have to go for it on fourth and 6. We can get 3 points right here compared to always having to go for it. Now we're looking like the Chargers going for it on every 4th down if this guy's missing field goals. And that came back to bite us earlier in the year against the Colts, where we couldn't trust the kicker, and, we ended up losing the game.
Well, we should have lost that Titans game because of Harrison Butker. Now Mahomes makes miraculous plays, 3rd and 17, 2-point conversion, the run in for the touchdown to get us just to overtime. And then we get that down there and we're able to shut down Malik Willis, sack him twice, and almost have a pick 6 to end the game. But Harrison Butker misses an extra point and a field goal there, and we're just down all game by 8, 17-9 because of that. And it looks like there's no hope, but Mahomes is our magic man and saves Harrison Butker's hide from being the scapegoat of there.
Sheesh. Yeah,
well, I'll tell you what, we're going to LA, and Michael, you talked about a hard fought game. I can see it coming that way, but I have to be honest, if this game was at Arrowhead Stadium, I'd be worried. I'm not kidding. I would be worried. There's a different level of focus. Now, the Chiefs went up 20-0. They played a game against the Jaguars that was never really in doubt. There were some gaffes and some things that you don't like to see, especially on special teams. Dave Tobe, I'm looking at you. But going to LA, a place the Chiefs are just comfortable in, you talked about the fan disparity. Maybe we want it to be a little closer to 50-50, because when Chiefs fans are overtaking it, this Chiefs team's not quite as focused. We don't want it to be means a close game down to the wire.
No, yeah. I call it Arrowhead LA because Arrowhead West is in Las Vegas, where we played there. So, I don't know. The Chiefs are just playing much better football on the road. So it could get ugly, depending on what team we get from the Chargers, if they come out and play. Because they started fast last week, where it looked like, hey, they're about to get a big win, and next week's game is going to be huge. And then they did what the Chargers do, which is, do anything to lose a game. So it's going to come down to the start. If the Chiefs can go out here and come here to LA and have a fast start, I think that they can have a good chance of blowing it out, because that's the Chargers going to be pressing, because they want to win this game so bad. I remember being at the training camp and talking to the guys. You will hear so many, we got to show everybody that it's not just the Chiefs in the AFC West. The Chiefs are in their heads. So for them to lose that game earlier in the year, like, this game really matters to them, just so they can, let the Chiefs know, hey, if we see you guys for a 3rd time, we're ready to take you guys. So it's going to be a great game, I feel. But it can get ugly if the Chiefs start off really fast with a 10-0, 14-0 lead.
And let's talk about who the Chargers have beaten this year, guys. Week 1, 5-point win over the Raiders. Week 2, lost to Chiefs. Week 3, lost 38-10 to the Jaguars. And they've beaten the likes of the cavalier NFL franchises like the Texans, the Browns, the Broncos in overtime, where neither team wanted to win. So you get blown out by the Seahawks. You literally have the Atlanta Falcons fumble you the ball with seconds to go in regulation to give you a just gift of a win. Then you have a chance to go on the road and prove something against the Niners, and you don't score a point in the second half. This Chargers team isn't even as good as their record indicates. To me, the Chargers look to me like a 4-6 type team, or 3-6. That's what they look like. They look no different than the Jaguars team that just waltzed in here to Arrowhead, that has some parts, some talent, that just can't get it done. And that's what the Chargers look like to me. They've been gifted so many wins that they're still in this thing.
Yeah, and they really miss Joey Bosa, man. I think that not having him, he brings so much, toughness, swagger on that defense. Now it's just old Khalil Mack as your best pass rush, and nobody else there really on the D-line, to where you took away what everyone thought they were going to have. We thought they were going to be able to score a lot of points, but injuries at wide receiver has hurt them. And then with that, we thought they were just going to be able to pass rush and get you, but there's no Bosa there. So it looks really tough. If the Chiefs do come out, come and blow them out here in LA, I have to make sure that I'm safe and all my other Chiefs fans are there, because LA fans are a little rough when things aren't going well. But I'm hoping for a blowout, because those close games have you near heart attacks. But we're going to see, like you said, Clint, that the Chargers have really just found ways to win games that they shouldn't have won. So it can easily get ugly. But I think Justin Herbert and those guys are going to come out with some fire Sunday night.
I have a feud going on in the chat pretty much since we started this Arrowhead Allies show with KC King 32. He's always calling me out. How are the Chiefs #1 in the AFC, #1 offense without a generational player like Tyreek Hill? I mean, we got Mahomes. We're doing it. You guys were sort of right, but I was also right. I'll take Tyreek Hill right now back on this team. I think we'd be even better taking MVS off this team, put in Tyreek Hill. I think we would still be able to have defenses playing us differently, even whether we have Tyreek Hill, because we've got all this underneath stuff. We've got more weapons. We've got all 3 tight ends rolling with Jody Fortson. You're seeing how Noah Gray's developing, seeing what Juju's doing now. We've got Kadarius Toney. McColl's growing, I guess. We're finding his role, his jet sweeps, screens, little handoffs, push passes. So I'll still take Tyreek Hill. I don't think I was wrong on that.
Yeah.
You guys were right as far as Mahomes being able to figure it out, and Andy Reid. This offense is still going to keep clicking. So maybe a push, a 50-50 on that.
It's a push. I mean,
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill might be the NFL MVP this year. And that said, we do have
we have a fan in here.
Question.
Yeah.
Okay.
From Derek.
Mr.
Derek,
Griffin.
Derek, unmute your mic if you can, and we'll get your question in. But
oh, never mind. This feels like a hang all of a sudden.
Oh, man,
yeah, it does. He left us, Derek.
Derek, is he related to Peter Griffin?
Or former Ohio State running back Archie Griffin.
Yeah.
Yes, one of the two. It's got to be one of the two. But we've got this Chris Kim here. I don't know why for the last 4 or 5 years, more times than not, offensive trends tends to have a slower start. Is it overconfidence, playing down to the level of competition, or is it something else?
I never could understand why the Chiefs sometimes come out so slow. I be sitting there watching like this first 15 is supposed to be amazing and lead to an automatic touchdown with Mahomes, but sometimes it doesn't work. So I don't really know if it's the competition because we saw, them show up in the AFC Championship. They just didn't play in the second half. So I don't know. It just sometimes weird games where they don't show up. They showed up slow against the 49ers and then destroyed them. They came out early against the Jaguars. So it's just very weird to me.
Yeah, we've got KC King coming back. Tyreek had to leave in order for QB1 to
that
grow.
Even mean? I don't.
Like for Patrick Mahomes to grow and become even better. Like I guess.
Yeah,
learn how to play a different way, learn how to play multiple different ways, and he can go deep. He can learn how to take the underneath stuff and go through his progressions and work with different guys. So I get it in a sense, but again, just I'll say it till the day I die. Give me Tyreek back on this team.
Every time I see Juju make big plays, it just pisses me off more that he didn't come last year when we had Tyreek. I can only imagine if you had to worry about the top of the defense being taken off and then Juju and Travis underneath, we would have been unstoppable. But Juju decided to play there with Ben for his last year. But Pat is showing us more. We already knew what quarterback he was. We seen games where Tyreek didn't play and Pat dominated. It's just now you seeing it every week because he doesn't have Tyreek Hill there. But everyone is acting like Tyreek Hill is just doing it by himself over there. Tua is playing some amazing football.
He's got Jalen Waddle on the other side.
Jalen Waddle is incredible. And you know how I know? Because, I've been undefeated my entire season in fantasy because of Jalen Waddle.
There you go.
So that guy is amazing too. So I don't want to give too much praise to Tyreek. He's special, but, you got to have, some guys around you so you can get those one-on-one matchups.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because we could have a situation here where usually in these trades, you could kind of tell there's a black and white situation. This team got fleeced. This team did the wrong thing. I don't know that I've ever seen a high profile trade like this where it's just like, I don't know. Like everybody's great. You're great. We're great. We're great. I don't know.
Like Kadarius Toney, like the Giants got fleeced. We got a great player and they let him go for a 3rd and a 6th.
Yeah, they might try to sneak OBJ over there. So if they can make that happen by opening up,
they can have it. Here's a question, Michael. Would you rather have OBJ or Kadarius Toney on this team, on the Chiefs?
I'd rather have Kadarius. I just think we know that he's healthy, and he's ready to go. I think
he has 2 good knees.
More explosive, younger, higher upside.
Under contract for cheap for several more years. Yeah.
And Veach is big on that. So I think that with the contract that he has, the explosiveness, he can play special teams. We don't want OBJ back there doing any punt return. Can you imagine a punt return where you have McCole and Kadarius back, and you're like, damn, who's about to catch this ball so that we can go?
One guy does a big motion and faking, and it's over on the other side.
Yeah, so it's so much that you can do. And with Odell, we just don't know what he's going to come back and do. We're going off of what we saw with the Rams, but we don't know if he's going to be that player right when he touched the field. And he's coming back so late that it's like, we need you to be that player right now because, trying to win in the playoffs. So I like Kadarius' move much better.
Yes, I see this comment, Casey King. His growth is evident. He's thrown touchdowns to 10 or 11 different receivers. Do you not remember how the AFC Championship game
throwing
ended?
it to Demarcus Robinson
twice to start overtime?
Is that Patrick, or is that just this is who I have? I have to throw it to somebody.
I don't know
not that one.
Yeah.
Anyone but 11.
And that's why MVS was like, hey man, I'm gonna make you like the number 11 much better. So I'm gonna put this jersey on and make plays.
He's starting to.
Levi, we have talked about Trent McDuffie here, Levi. We talked about him right at the get-go, but Trent McDuffie is a guy that I think Noah mentioned the stat that he's only, I think he's given up one catch, 25% of his targets. I think he's only given up one through the few games that he's played. I think all signs and the trajectory on him points way up. I know we can only compare him to, a guy like Marcus Peters that was a corner out of Washington. So I'm just going to make the comparison. Trent McDuffie, a late first-round pick out of Washington, much like Marcus Peters was. Now, Marcus Peters was a ball hawk, and that's something that maybe we'll see.
He's going to take the ball.
He was boomer bust. Still is, by the way. Trent McDuffie, 2 thumbs up here from the Arrowhead Allies, and I think that it'll be interesting to see as he continues to grow and continues to maybe learn better technique, get the head around, maybe create some turnovers because this team desperately needs some turnovers.
And I'm excited to see him. I hope Mike Williams and Keenan Allen play weirdly because I want to see how he does versus the taller physical corner or wide receiver in a Mike Williams or a Keenan Allen. I want to see him in that matchup and just how he decides to attack it with his short stature.
Yeah. And I think that the ceiling for him is a guy like Jair that's like all pro. Yeah, and you can play him all over. And I think his floor is like Brandon Flowers, that still a really solid cornerback that may not be your number one, but a really good number two to chase around these little fast wide receivers. But the guy has swagger. He comes from DBU, and I'm pretty sure he talks to Marcus Peters, Sidney Jones, and all like Buda Baker, and they all communicate and probably work out with each other. So I think that he's only going to get better and better. And the pass rush is working. The more it works, the more he's going to have to cover a little less and where he can attack the ball. I'm just waiting for him to get an interception.
Who else came from Washington? Was it Marcus Trufant?
Yep, Marcus Trufant and Desmond Trufant.
Both Trufants. Okay, I was going to say Desmond. I was like, no, I remember Marcus. Both Trufants. Okay.
One more thing about the receivers here, and Kenneth Caldwell, appreciate your comments here. This one I don't appreciate. This group of receivers is a lot better than the group of receivers the last 4 years. Now, if we're talking about last year, if you're talking about 2018, you're talking about the 2018 and 19, the Legion of Zoom, Sammy Watkins, Tyreek Hill. I mean, that group with Travis Kelce, that group in 2018 was averaged 35 points a game. That group of receivers is immensely better than the group now. That doesn't mean that this group can't be successful and isn't successful. That's not even close to me. Absolutely no. I'm not listening to that.
Yeah, I think this group has so much depth because those years I don't think Byron Pringle was really touching the field, where we have a guy like Justin Watson that's actually touching the field, making plays.
That's a good point.
You have a guy like Sky Moore that, the expectations is that, and he has made some plays here and there. And now you add Kadarius Toney, like you have so many guys that you really can go out there and say, we can put them at X, Z, put them in the slot, and somebody's going to make a play. Where back then, it's like you knew Tyreek was going to be tough. Sammy, if he was on the field, was going to be tough. Then after that, it was kind of like, who else is going to make a play?
Yeah, but I would take those two, Sammy and Tyreek, over Juju and MVS, Juju and Cole.
But then you got to look at our tight ends. Like we had Demetrius Harris was, he was pretty solid, but I'm liking what I'm seeing from Noah Gray. I think that guy is a really good talent, especially with the Chiefs. is somebody that we should keep as Travis gets older. And then, you still have Jody Fortson, who I don't get why they don't at least try to throw it to him at least once every red zone opportunity.
I'd like to see him more involved in the offense. And Demetrius Harris, I gave him a lot of guff, but once he left and it was the Blake Bells and Nick Keiser's dropping the ball in the middle of the field, then I was like, wait, I think I want Demetrius Harris back.
Yeah, he just couldn't block a lick. And, sometimes he dropped the ball. But we have, having these 3 tight ends, you can do so much with them on the field because they can run wide receiver routes, which is great. And then, they can block for the run, which it makes other defenses have to keep their either 4-3 or their 3-4 on the field, because it's like we can't just go out there with 4 corners, because if they run, they might bully us. So we got to go out there in our base package, and that allows the Chiefs to do so many other things offensively.
Well,
we got a question here. Favorite Chiefs player of all time? And if you could add any player in the league to this team, who would it be? Michael?
Favorite Chief all time. For me, I'm a big running back guy. It's cheating to say Patrick Mahomes. That's everybody's favorite player now. But I'm a big running back guy. So it's going to be it was Priest Holmes for a long time, but Jamal Charles, he was just so great on the field and on Madden. No one could beat me because of him and his speed. So I'm going to go Jamal Charles there. And if I can have one player, for the Chiefs right now,
Tyreek Hill.
No, I was thinking maybe a running back.
Kareem Hunt. Okay. Kareem Hunt.
Kareem Hunt, but maybe Von Miller. I think if you give us Von Miller,
listen to that.
We're unbeatable if we had him.
I'd probably go my favorite player all time. Probably he's got to just, we're not doing Patrick Mahomes because everyone's is Patrick Mahomes. Maybe Joe Montana. Probably have to go there. Gave us some great moments. Or AFC Championship game, which I never thought we'd reach. And if he doesn't get knocked out and Tim Barnett and Kimball Andrews catch touchdowns, maybe that's a different game. And then add a player to this team. I don't like running the football, just period. So I'm going to have to go Tyreek. I got to bring him back. Give me more weapons, baby.
I'm going to go Derek Thomas as my overall. Add a player to this team. God, would you want to put Aaron Donald next to Chris Jones up in the middle there? I consider that.
AC King is in here saying we got all this deep receiving core. We don't need Tyreek Hill, but now he wants Justin Jefferson. Come on.
Yeah.
Jamar Chase. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, you could
shout out to Justin Jefferson. Like that performance, him the Vikings, that game was just amazing. It was 4th and 18. I was so mad. Like, dang, I thought they could give us a chance. And Justin Jefferson said, I hear you, Michael. Let me go and make this catch. And that guy is just amazing. How can you go from Diggs to him? Is just shout out to their scout team. Shout out to the receivers coach. Like they're doing something right out there. Get it together, Adam Thielen, even though he's old, but let's see what happens.
Well, guys, we've reached that point in the show where we're going to give our predictions here. Now, the Chiefs are going to Los Angeles, so I got to give us 30 points because when we go on the road, we're averaging like 36.5 points a game. So I'm going to go just under that. I'm going to say the Chiefs win this game 34-27 in an entertaining game.
Wow.
Is that your score too, Noah? Did I steal your score?
Close.
What do you got?
I was going, I think if Mike Williams and Keenan Allen both play, I think this will be the score. If not, then I think we're going to win by much more. But I've got it 34-30. Well, that's kind of the score I came up with earlier today. Because if Keenan Allen and Mike Williams both play, I think that's going to cause some issues. Mike Williams, known as the Chief Killer, at least in yardage wise, and he's not getting many wins against us. But when they do win, he's usually a big factor, and he's going to have to be one if they want to keep this game close. But I got it 34-30. What say you, Michael?
Hey, remember, Mike Williams only gives us one tough game. Like he goes off on us in one game. So I don't see it happening this game. I think it's going to be closer than, the experts are saying. I think 31-23. I think that it's going to start off as a fight. The Chiefs get a late touchdown, and the Chargers, get a late, and the Chiefs just run out the clock. It's going to be, a crazy game because it's going to be a desperate Chargers team. But without Bosa, losing another D tackle, it sucks that the Chiefs couldn't get Tillery because we were close, but, because of the waiver rule, we were so high up. But yeah, I just don't think that they have enough. I think this is going to be a Pacheco game. I think Pacheco may go crazy, and that's going to help the Chiefs take care of business. 31-23 Chiefs.
Well, guys, you heard it here. We have so much enjoyed. Thanks for all the comments, all the people coming in and asking questions. We needed it today because we were down two of our key cogs here on Arrowhead Allies. And
we were. Brian, Shane, wherever you are out there, we hope you had a good night.
Yep.
We hope that everyone here enjoyed Arrowhead Allies. Before we go, there's one piece of business we have here. And we lost a dear friend of ours here at Starcade Media, great legendary journalist Fred Hickman this past weekend. And he was just a trailblazer for the African Americans in journalism and sports media. He really set the tone for guys like Stuart Scott, who took it to another level and led to other people getting into the business because they saw Stuart Scott could do it. And hey, he probably saw Fred Hickman do it. Hey, I can do that. I can be like him. People saw Stuart Scott. Wait, he's doing it and he's doing it well. He's the best in the game. I can go do that too. And so we want to play this tribute to Fred Hickman. We were talking to him this summer about joining us, doing some stuff here with Starcade Media. Great guy. I talked to him several times on the phone. Just so genuine, so funny, so affable. And he obviously we couldn't afford such a talent, but he just said that, hey, I'm going to do this to pay it forward to you guys. Unfortunately, we couldn't work out the time. And obviously he was sick, dealing with liver cancer. And sadly, we lost him too soon at 66. And we just want to play this tribute to the great Fred Hickman.
The Pittsburgh Steelers have found their man. Bill Cowher is leaving his job as defensive coordinator with the Kansas City Chiefs to become the Steelers head coach, thus replacing the legendary Chuck Noll. Cowher will be announced officially tomorrow, but they put it off today because of the holiday observance. Not familiar with this guy? Well, if you're employed anywhere in the NFL, you would have been familiar with him. He's a former player with the Browns and with the Philadelphia Eagles, a linebacker. A knee ended his playing days, but Marty Schottenheimer signed him on right away. At age 34, Cowher becomes the second youngest head coach in the entire NFL. They shoot it.
Kick it.
Oh, hit it. Let's do that.
Hit what?
I blew my line. I've had it. There's my big chance.
Okay.
Shoot it.
Kick it.
Hit it.
Or throw it.
We'll tell you about it.
So catch. CNN Sports Tonight. Catch it.
If they shoot it.
Kick it.
Hit it.
Or throw it.
Jesus.
I'll lay this up for you.
Okay, lay it up.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, really,
What is that?
Cue card, cue card. We'll tell you about it.
So, catch. Where's the ball?
The reason I have the job that I have is from watching a black man on TV. I watched Fred Hickman doing sports on CNN, and I was like, man, I want to be like that guy.
A melancholy trails to Fred Hickman. The sports broadcaster passed away yesterday at the age of 66. Hickman rose to fame in the 1980s as the co-host of Sports Tonight on CNN alongside the late Nick Charles. They were so great together. They would host more than 3,000 episodes together, going head-to-head with SportsCenter. Hickman was also an original host for TNT's Inside the NBA, later worked for the Yes Network, and eventually ESPN. He had spectacular and meaningful moments as an important voice in sports reporting.
You know, as you like to say, people of a certain age, we all knew how good Fred Hickman was. And by the way, he was the first voice ever at the Yes Network. I was up there last night, and they had a beautiful tribute to him. He brought in a lot of guys from Atlanta, including Bob Lorenz, who did a great obituary.
Got to know Fred pretty well in the second half of his career, and just loved listening to him, watching him all the time. It's really sad.
You know, when you see charisma, you know it. And Fred Hickman had charisma. He had that twinkle in his eye. He was a little bit of mischief in him, but you talk about chemistry with him and Nick Charles, and I thought that show was better than anything that ESPN SportsCenter had up until that point. But I took great inspiration of what Freddie did every single night, and nobody's had a bad word to say about him. He was a wonderful person, and he did it well. He did it great, and age 66, and an inspiration to a lot of African Americans getting into the business. And I didn't realize it, and I don't even know if Freddie realized it at the time. Later on, he did, because people would tell him that, thank you, I saw you do sports. And when you think about inspirational, certainly with African Americans, minorities, Stuart Scott paved the way for a lot of people, but Fred Hickman paved the way for Stuart in a lot of anchors. But I admired him just because he had fun every night. He enjoyed it. He appreciated it. And he and Nick, who passed away over a decade ago, that's as good a tandem as you'll find who've ever done this on a nightly basis.
The iconic Fred Hickman. We're going to miss you, my friend.
Yeah,
Thank
rest
you
in
guys
peace.
so much for joining us. That was wonderful. And see you guys Sunday night. Go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs.
Chiefs.
Bye.